Is the NXT Championship going to the moon next week at the Great American Bash? This is a Cody Rhodes American Nightmare shirt, but it's America, America.
He
F
misses
yeah.
America so bad.
Yes, I miss it. I miss it so bad. I had to put on an American Nightmare shirt. But yes, we are here to talk about NXT 2.0. It is me, the new media Forbidden Door SP3, back in the saddle once again with Mommy Nyangi's baby boy. He is on location in the countryside. He is Sat E. And what does the E stand for?
Enclosed location, because internet is dodgy. You can barely see me. This is the reason why WrestleTalk gave me a background, and I got a iMac, so I look clear. This is a shoddy operation. This is a guy who's I'm trying to get to do some. I want to be on WrestleTalk one day, so welcome to my wrestling video. Hi SP3, welcome to my show. This looks unprofessional. I'm not happy with this, guys. I'm sorry that you can barely see me. That's what happens when I go to the countryside and I leave most of my stuff behind. Sir E's enclosed. You can call me Sheepskin Nakamura. You can call me Sat E Chocolate Milk is Sexy. Or you can call me Dad E Nyangi. And I'm back with a new media Forbidden Door. SP. He's everywhere. You name it, he's been there, except for Wrestling Observer. I may tweet Dave because I've got no shame. I'll be like, Dave, you got to have my boy on the show. Replace Brian Alvarez. The guy's over it. And then I'll go over to Cultaholic or wherever someplace, and I'll be like, hey, have my boys straight to hell. You had Ollie. You've had Luke. Don't pretend you've never done it before. Don't make me sick. Hi, guys. How's it going?
That is one of my favorite intros from Sat. Yes, Sat is in the countryside. He's on location with the family on vacay. I'm happy for you. Get away. I've been away on excursion. My excursion has gone a lot longer than I thought it would. So don't worry. For everyone who wanted me to go back to the WrestleTalk office, I'm gonna make a way to go back to the WrestleTalk office at least one more time before I'm finally end my excursion here in the UK. But let's talk about some NXT 2.0. You see the thumbnail, you see the title. It's all about Cameron Grimes. This whole story started about 2 weeks ago on the NXT 2.0 following In Your House. And now Cameron Grimes is 1 week away from his big title opportunity against Bron Breakker. So we're going to talk about that final segment. We're going to talk about the big matchup for next week at Great American Bash. But we don't want to be the only ones talking. We don't want to be the only ones giving our opinions. We want to hear from all of you. WrestleTalk.com/support. We want to hear from all of the viewers, all of the Mocha Knights. I'm trying to come up with a cool saying for the viewers of our NXT 2.0 podcast here, the Mocha Knights. We want to hear from all of you with your Mocha chats. WrestleTalk.com/support. Let us know what you thought about last night's NXT 2.0. Let us know what you think about next week's Great American Bash. What's your prediction? Do you think Cameron Grimes will become the next NXT champion? But Sat, let's talk about last night's closing segment, which built up the final hype for the main event next week at Great American Bash between Bron Breakker, the NXT champion, and his challenger, Cameron Grimes. Earlier in the show, we got vignettes, covering the highlights of the first year or almost year for Bron Breakker, the two-time NXT champion.
Yeah,
We also got highlights of Cameron Grimes, his big win at Stand and Deliver to win the North American title. And then we got to our final segment. Wade Barrett was in the ring to introduce champion and challenger for this face-to-face showdown. Braun immediately kicked Wade Barrett to the curb. He says that he's just going to talk face-to-face with his challenger for next week. And Breakker says he's faced a lot of challenges, but he knows that Cameron Grimes is different because he's going to bring it next week. And Grimes is like, cut all this nonsense. This match is not that big. You face many of challenges. He says if Braun loses next week, he will just be called up to Raw or SmackDown. If he loses next week, Braun will just be on SummerSlam. Cameron says that this is his big shot, his biggest match yet. And he says that this is all he's ever wanted to do. And for Braun, though, this is his backup plan because he wanted to be in the National Football League until someone called him up and told the Denver Broncos or whatever the team was, told him that he wasn't good enough. So Braun just had to call his daddy for an opportunity. And this got the oohs and the ahs from the CWC crowd. Braun says he will kick Cameron's apple next week at Great American Bash. Grimes responds and says that Braun doesn't have the heart that Grimes has. And he says that it's not his fault, though. It's just genetics because his daddy didn't have any heart either. And that's why he never won the world championship. And that was that was a little cut too deep for Bron Breakker. So this leads to Braun trying to lift Cameron Grimes up for the gorilla press. He gets him above his head, but Cameron Grimes fights out of it. He gets out, and then he gets into the corner where Bron Breakker charges him, and he moves out the way and hits the turnbuckle very, very hard. Grimes picks him up and rams him into the turnbuckle once again, and it looks like Bron Breakker has like a shoulder injury. Even my wife came in at this point. It looked like it popped out a little bit, or he was just flexing more or less. Grimes tells the referees and officials come down and check the NXT champion, and Grimes tells them to check on him and to make sure that he's good for next week so he can take the NXT championship. I thought both guys came off very well. This was like night and day from the exchanges that went on with Bron Breakker and Joe Gacy. I felt Bron Breakker had a lot of good lines, even bringing up Ted DiBiase during this whole promo exchange, telling him to call him up and stuff. But Cameron Grimes, he's really brought that fire and brought us something different. This whole character change that went on before Stand and Deliver, I think they wanted to make him a sympathetic babyface, but just going into the fire and being overlooked and having his title reign for the North American title get cut short and putting all his money on this title shot at the NXT championship, I think has brought some passion out of him and brought a different side to his character. But what did you think, Sat?
I wrote down the exchange between Bron Breakker and Cameron Grimes. It gave a big match feel we haven't had for the NXT title in a while. I've been saying it, like NXT titles become a division that I guess Braun has to find you in the locker room by chance and give you title opportunities. There's no sense of urgency. There's no one going for it and fighting for it. And Cameron Grimes is giving that energy, that passion that's needed for the title. It's been a while since I felt like someone needs the NXT title. That's what I was missing for the longest time. Like the Joe Gacy feud, as much as I ragged on the spookiness of it, like they were trying to do something different, I always appreciate it. Even if the execution is wrong, I always appreciate it. But I feel like this is how Bron Breakker thrives. He, like they say, his background is in athletics, is in sports. So this is like a sports competition. You got a rival, and I feel like Braun, he thrives on someone trying to put him down, and he shows his intensity, and he shows that his promo skills has come along, a long way. Like he can do it in the ring. But for me, like you said, Cameron Grimes, man, he took a page out of Adam Cole's book. He was hitting some home truths, just like Joe Ananawi, aka Roman Reigns. Wrestling wasn't your first option. Kind of like Dwayne Johnson, Dewey Johnson. Wrestling wasn't your first option. That's your backup plan, because for some weird reason, wrestlers' kids got this bad luck where they can never cut it in the NFL, and then they have to go to wrestling. Look at the history.
It seems like that, yeah.
He's a writer. I'll just give him an idea. Someone should bring that up. That is a whole story in itself. Wrestlers' kids can never make it in the NFL, then they go into wrestling.
Ironically enough, only Road Warrior Animal, only his kid was able to make it into the NFL.
He at one point was thinking, "Hey, Daddy, I don't know if I'm going to make it." So call up Uncle Johnny.
And now he can't call Uncle Johnny anymore. Sorry.
I was going to say another thing, but that would have went down terribly. But yes, I'll tell you off screen because you know me. Yes, this was great. The sense of urgency with Bron Breakker's shoulder can only go in one or two ways. Bron Breakker could do the John Cena recipe of overcoming the odds and wins, or Idris Anofi Malik Blade may come out and interfere on the behalf of Cameron Grimes, and Cameron Grimes may win it. Regardless, I'm hyped for an NXT title feud for what feels like it's been months. Not since Ziggler was champion, have I been excited, because that's how long it's been, guys, since like what, March, April. But this has been for me is what NXT 2.0 needed, because we review the show, we get the butt of the jokes. Even though I always say NXT 2.0 is better than SmackDown, because
It
SmackDown's
is.
so
At least
atrocious,
stuff. At least stuff happens on this show. Like stuff
right?
doesn't even happen on SmackDown most of the time.
So yeah, so I appreciate Cameron Grimes for saving the main event division, because it needed help. Like Bron Breakker needed this. It came to a point where I started to sour on Bron Breakker, because I was like, Bron, are you the common denominator why this division's sucking? Because something's gone wrong. You're the champion. You know how it works. You know, the house
Yeah.
is down. Whose fault is that? You're the champion. Yeah.
Well, I think it was a lot of the cases that, they always say the title works better when the performer makes the title and they don't try to make the title make the performer. And I feel like from the moment that Bron Breakker was introduced, he's been going after the NXT championship with the goal of the title making him. And I think that's been the problem and why he hasn't, connected on all of his feuds. I think the feud with him and Ciampa, just worked because Ciampa's just this great performer. And I wish they would have prolonged that a little bit more, and that could have been paid off. His first title reign should have started at Stand and Deliver instead of New Year's Evil at the beginning of the year. I think if they would have culminated the whole Ciampa Breakker storyline at Stand and Deliver, the fans could have gone along with the ride and seen Breakker get the adversity of coming up short against Ciampa at Halloween Havoc, winning at War Games, and then it took him a little bit of a journey back to the NXT championship after scoring that big win in War Games. I think that the fans could have got behind him a little bit more if they would have paced that out a little bit better. But we're here now, and like you said, this is the first NXT championship feud for him that really feels important. I felt like, the Dolph Ziggler storyline was cool, but I don't think people would have been into it as much if not for Dolph Ziggler winning the title. I think that that's what got people more into it, because it was such a shock that Ziggler won.
It was. It came out of nowhere, and also it gave that investment. But also at the same time, I felt it kind of tarnished Braun a bit, because you didn't want Braun to lose unless someone else that needs that win beats him. It's kind of like, you've been beaten before. Yeah, like I barely remember it. Did Dolph beat him clean, or was it some like?
It was in a triple threat. It was in a triple threat and he pinned Ciampa. And then he did beat him clean outside of the exposed turnbuckle at Stand and Deliver. People tend to forget that. In your mind will make you believe that Bron Breakker won at Stand and Deliver because he was supposed to win. He should have won at Stand and Deliver instead of Raw after WrestleMania. But
why? And then he never appeared again. Is that there's nothing about this that makes sense. This is why I was saying, but you know what? F it. WWE, a soulless corporation. It's got no heart anymore. It's just going along, plugging along for the bucks. Money bucks, not the young bucks. Young bucks are great. They're on the other show.
I love how you always have to mention Young Bucks are great ever since I called you out. I love it.
But because you don't believe me that I love the Young Bucks when I do. I do.
You don't. There's no room on this bandwagon, sir. But there is room on the Mocha 2.0. The Mocha 2.0 bandwagon. And we want to hear from you. What do you think? What have you thought about this so far? The build up to next week's Great American Bash main event between Cameron Grimes and Bron Breakker. Do you think that maybe we should get a new NXT champion to kind of freshen up the main event scene? Let us know. WrestleTalk.com/support. Send us those Mocha chats. We love to hear from all of you. It helps out the channel. It helps us out, and it helps us get the point of view from the viewers here. But let's get into this episode of NXT 2.0 from the top. We started at the end, but we're going to go back to the beginning as they kicked off with a match. And whenever WWE kicks off with the match, I think they're on a good pace. They're on a good pace for at least a decent enough show. And this match was fairly decent. You had Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade versus Katana Chance and Kaden Carter in a number one contenders matchup. The winner of this matchup would verse Toxic Attraction for the NXT Women's Tag Team titles next week at Great American Bash. We see Toxic Attraction watching from atop the Toxic Lounge. Katana does a nice little cartwheel into a head scissors driver on Jade at one point early on. She also, we have Kaden who stops wrestling to shake her booty a little bit, which JC Jane from Toxic Lounge makes fun of. We got Roxanne who did something unique that I've never seen before. She did like a head scissors into a cradle on Katana. I was like, wow, I've never seen that before. But this is Roxanne Perez always bringing something new. We get Carter and Chance finally isolate Perez in the matchup, kind of playing the heels in this matchup, and they have been leaning to a heel turn themselves outside of the whole Cameron Grimes story with this. Yeah. We'll get to more on that later. They hit a nice little backstabber into a double foot stomp at one point. Cora Jade makes the hot tag, and she trades off hard strikes with Kaden. Then Perez tags back in, and Carter catches her with a super kick. Jade breaks up the net breaker 450 combo by Chance and Carter, and that leads to Roxanne hitting pop rocks on Chance for the win. Pretty fun tag team bout with all four ladies working hard, and it is official. Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade will verse JC Jane and Gigi Dolan for the NXT Women's Tag Team titles next week at Great American Bash. And commentary made sure to make it clear that this is not the title shot that Roxanne Perez gained in the breakout tournament. So she can still get the NXT Women's title shot with that contract. She has earned the number one contendership for the Women's Tag Team title. So what did you think about the match, Sat? And do you think Perez and Jade will be the new champions next week?
Oh, that I feel that the match was really good. Corey Jade for me performed better. Like this is the best I've seen her wrestle since we started doing the show together. Because usually, we tend to talk about how she's all promos and lack of skateboarding and her in-ring moves lack some pizzazz. But I feel like hanging out with Roxanne Perez, it started to rub off on her. She did some nice counter-attacks on Katana in the match. You mentioned the standing head scissors into a schoolboy. That's unique in itself. I think Katana and Kaden as a tag team, they're underrated. Their tag team offenses are great. Katana does great flashy moves, but I feel like Kaden's great at strikes. She's really good at doing strikes. And if it was up to me, they would be champion or they would get an opportunity. And then to answer your question, do I think Cora and Roxanne Perez wins it? Well, number one, Roxanne's smart after all. I got worried there. She's not cashing in her opportunity, guys. This is a separate thing. Smart. So that makes me think, because of that makes me think that they may not win it. I feel like maybe Katana and Katie complete the heel turn at the show and cost them the title match. I mean, it makes sense. Sour grapes, and then Toxic Attraction wins. I don't know how they lose the title. There's something with Toxic Attraction. We can never say this who beats them. We don't know. I may be wrong. It may be Cora and Roxana wins the match. But for me, it feels like Roxanne may cash it in. A Great American Bash, maybe. I'm thinking potentially. I could be wrong, even though it's not a babyface move to do. But hey, only a sucker wouldn't complete an opportunity when the chance is there. But yeah, Katana chance.
I think Perez and Jade are going to win the tag team titles. I think that Roxanne is going to have a longer time with this contract because relatively like this contract for the breakout tournament when they did it for the men's, I think Carmelo Hayes had it for about a month before he cashed his in. I think the ACH, the former Jordan Miles, when he won the first ever breakout tournament, I think he only held it for like less than a month before he cashed it in on his. So I think that it might be a longer journey for her holding on to this contract, and maybe she waits to, the right place, the right time. Maybe it's in Cardiff if they do an NXT event out there, or maybe it's down the line, maybe next year. I don't know. But I don't think that this is going to be something that they blow off in a few months or a month or so, like they did the previous breakout tournament contracts. But talking about Carter and Chance and them leaning more towards heel, we got to talk about the backstage segment that happened later in the night where they're backstage in the locker room. Carter and Chance are upset and they're complaining about losing earlier tonight, saying that they're better than Perez and Jade as well as Toxic Attraction. They get in Tatum Paxley's face, who's staring at them because they're whining like big babies, and she tells them to not get mad at her because they lost a match, and basically Chance and Carter said we'll show them. So it seems like we are going to get this Carter and Chance heel turn, but they are quite possibly the most unsuccessful women's tag team on the main roster or NXT ever.
Listen, yeah, they are unsuccessful because it came to a point Wade Barrett was saying they're veterans because of how long they've been there. They're veterans. This is what they need probably because they did the whole "I'm a happy baby face" thing. It just didn't really work out. Hey, Mocha Lights, you guys can be Mocha Lights if you send in the Mocha chats. Yeah, this is what they need because we know already that Toxic Attraction as a group may go to the main roster because they need it. The tag team titles in WWE, MIA. The tag team titles missing like a kid. A kid's missing with the women's championship. The women's tag team titles is missing on the main roster with a kid. A kid is missing, guys. SP, I didn't give a chance. Let's get ready. A kid is missing. Again, in NXT 2.0, a kid's missing and everyone's fine. And also, someone committed a murder on TV and everyone's fine. I'm fine with it because I didn't like the guy. But a murder was committed and a kid's missing.
We are going to talk about the murder, but we got it early this week, Sat. We got it early. So you got time to get your makeshift robe because it's time for a little bit of Love is Blind. The grass is greener on the other side. And this was a little bit of a different one. Thank you for getting the makeshift robe.
I didn't take the actual robe with me, guys. Don't worry. Next week we'll be back to usual. I have to make do with what I have around here. Stop dissing me. They'll be like, SB, who's this guy you picked up from the street to do the show with you? Guys, leave me alone.
Backstage, we're at the Diamond Mine gym. They're working out, Ivy Dial and the Creeds, and then Joe Gacy and the Dyad come in, and Gacy says, Friends, we come in peace. We come here because I feel compelled, you, the Creed brothers, that if Roderick Strong doesn't appreciate your brilliance, but I do. And I would welcome you into the family just like I did the Dyad. This leads to Julius turning down the offer and says that Diamond Mine is forever. Roderick Strong comes in and says they are the strongest family in NXT and they are never afraid to prove it. And Gacy responds, I'm sensing hostility, but it's not with me. It's within you. You want to prove you're a family? Prove it tonight. And this would lead to a setup for Diamond Mine versus Joe Gacy and the Dyad. And this was a shortened version of SP Gacy. Love is blind. The grass is greener on the other side.
By the way, one of the best songs in NXT is actually a great song. I played at work once. Someone goes to me, oh, what's that song? They wanted to like Shazam me. I said, it's a wrestling song. I don't know. I like wrestling, but sometimes like it's a wrestling song.
It's a wrestling song.
Yeah. That's how I did it as well. Like I'm almost ashamed. Like, yeah, it's wrestling. But I like it regardless. But yeah, as you know, the Diamond Mine storyline is my least favorite storyline at the moment because it doesn't make sense. Yes, you're better than your coach. because think about this: if you go boxing training, there's like a 60-year-old man, teaching you how to box. You can obviously kick his ass or butt in real life. Of course you can. But are you gonna step up to him? You're old now, old man. You can't tell me what to do now. I want some gold. No, you don't. You show some respect to your senpai. I don't like the disrespect. The only way I like the storyline is if Shelton Benjamin comes up and be like, "Hey, I'm the new leader of Diamond Mine." That's the only way I'll accept it, because Roddy, his equity's going down. We were celebrating, yeah, he got a victory last week, albeit it was shoddy conditions. Is Roderick strong? Why does he win? By struggling. And then this week, I'm sorry, that's why I hate the storyline, by the way. It's because every week NXT is like, oh, are we doing that? I didn't know. They know what they're doing. Roddy probably said, I'm not signing with you guys. They're like, oh, we're gonna drag him to the dirt.
Well, we'll get to the matchup, the 6-man tag with Joe Gacy and the Dyad versus the Diamond Mine. But I'm just gonna say right off bat that I think WWE heard you and they're rushing through this storyline. But we had another backstage segment after this with Mackenzie interviewing Toxic Attraction, and JC says that they were unimpressed by Perez and Jade's performance. Dolan says they have beaten friends, enemies, and frenemies, and they will never be different, and they will defeat Perez and Jade next week. This leads to Nikita Lyons interrupting and saying that her eyes are set on Mandy Rose. She also brings up that Roxanne Perez probably wouldn't have won that contract that Mandy keeps talking about if she didn't get injured. Yep, I was like, there's a lot of truth in that statement. Rose says,
unfortunately, right? There's a lot of truth in that statement. If she didn't pop a kneecap, she would have won it. But she popped a kneecap and she missed out on the opportunity. So you know what? They can always do course correction, because she can probably challenge for the breakout. I'm waiting for that to happen. She can challenge her for the contract, right? I mean, and Roxanne is like the gullible baby face. Yeah, sure. You never had
sure. I love competition.
I can take a bus to the competition. You don't need to, girl. You're a WWE superstar. Are you sure?
But this leads to Rose making a challenge for Nikita Lyons for tonight. So we're going to get a matchup that I thought they would save for a big, special show. But instead, once again, Mandy Rose has Roxanne Perez, who is being positioned as her next challenger. And then her other challenger that I thought they were positioning as well, Nikita Lyons, they're giving away the match again as well. But that leads into one of your favorite people on the show, Sat, Giovanni Vinci versus Ikemenjiro in a battle of who has better fashion sense. Ikemenjiro uses his quickness to get some offense off on Giovanni, but he avoids a springboard moonsault. He then hits a step-up tornado DDT that led to a holy shiitake chant from
holy shiitake
for some reason. I'm so confused. There was a lot of confusing chants on this show. Really? I will say, I've been laying off the CWC fans, but the fact that they screamed, they were chanting "Holy S word" to a step up tornado DDT, like they haven't seen it 101 times. I was so confused by that.
Giovanni Vinci popped them. I think it's the caliber of wrestler doing it. If Wes Lee did it, Wes Lee did it. No offense, Nathan Frazier did it. A kid could have done it, but he's still missing. Did it. But because Giovanni Vinci, a man of his size, and a man of his prowess, he continues to prove you know what? You didn't finish, but that's the answer. Continue, SP. You were getting there to the end.
He finished off Ikemenjiro with the last ride, sit out powerbomb for the win. This was a decent enough squash. Once again, Giovanni Vinci looking good and impressive. Post-match, Vinci says that the Great American Bash cannot happen without Giovanni Vinci. But what did you think about his matchup here?
His entrance still missing the main coat. I feel like it's missing that. He comes out like, "Hey guys, just came from the bathroom, doing my entrance, my smile." I like the presentation, but I feel like if he's meant to be a stylish guy, yeah, he's got stylish trunks, but it's like kind of like the model Rick Martel, kind of like Johnny Nitro or John Morrison. You got to give him a little extra accoutrement. Give him, a valet or someone that takes a picture. With the paparazzi, actually. Yeah, we're doing the whole, photo booth thing. He's in the photo booth, guys. Ka-ching. But I feel like the presentation is missing something more to complete it. In ring, the guy is solid. In ring, he's solid. He's got his new, walk, the strut he does in the ring. He screams a star. And the elevated Liger bomb he does is incredible. And the German suplexes and the chops that he's been doing, which is like a homage to his former Imperium leader, Gunther. All I got to say is this man's main event. You can put him in the main event. Give him the title, I'll be happy. But just give him a jacket or something. I mean, get some pizzazz. I feel like it's missing. I mean, when Tyler Breeze did his stuff, he had them little, short on mink coats. I'm very much into presentation. Like, if you're giving a character that character, you got to give him something more. You know what I mean? I mean, even Gunther's got a jacket.
Complete the presentation. I do agree.
Yeah, Gunther's got a jacket, for goodness sake.
Backstage, Mackenzie interviews NXT North American champion Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. She asks how Melo plans to keep up his momentum, which he has a great response. He says the real question should be, Melo, how did you become the A champion without even trying? He says that it takes hustle. Trick says swagger. He says loyalty. Trick says confidence. And they both say disrespect. Melo says every rule has an exception, and when you are an exceptional talent like he is, Grayson Waller then interrupts. He comes in and he congratulates him on his big win last week, telling him that he has a right hand like Canelo. Even when Mackenzie brings up the brass knuckles, he then says that he has a lot of fans in Australia that love Melo, so he wanted an autograph on a basketball, on a t-shirt, and on some 8x10s, but there is a mysterious white paper underneath these 8x10s, which we will get to later. Back in the arena, they first recap what happened on NXT UK when it was Briggs and Jensen who won the NXT UK tag team titles. Samantha Irvin introduces the new NXT UK tag team champions, and those belts look glorious. That all the NXT UK titles look like a step above the NXT 2.0 championships. I just want to mention that. And it's Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen with Fallon Henley. They come out. Vic Joseph points out that Jensen is getting more dates and numbers ever since becoming a champion, both here and across the pond. Briggs tells Ashton Smith and Oliver Carter, who had to relinquish the NXT UK tag team titles, that they got their championship rematch waiting for them when they return. Jensen then thanks Briggs for picking him as his partner when they first met each other. Henley then says that it's time to drink some beers, and then out comes former NXT UK tag team champions Pretty Deadly, who are dressed like the true housewives of the UK. Then they interrupt Briggs and Jensen and say the titles used to mean something when they were on the two tastiest snacks in NXT. Briggs calls Pretty Deadly the Zoolander twins and says that there are a lot of great teams that have held these titles, but they aren't one of them. Yes, boy.
Yes, boy. That was a good one.
Briggs and Jensen start throwing haymakers at Pretty Deadly, and they stand tall to end this segment. What did you think about, Briggs and Jensen winning the NXT UK tag team titles last week, and then their presentation here and starting a feud with Pretty Deadly?
I've long stated that I'm high on Josh Briggs. He's someone that I know that Vince McMahon will be like, gotta get him on the main roster, kid. Because no offense, I can say main roster, they got theory. Like, there's a lot more guys like Josh Briggs and Bron Breakker who could be the future of WWE. No offense to Jensen. I just never felt the guy. I mean, if even his storyline, it makes him look like a geek. Who supports a guy who's made to look like a loser? There's nothing wrong with, abstinence. If you don't want to do, not knocking anyone or anyone that's still haven't had intercourse. It just, they've made it look silly. They made him look like a no one. Or if they did it in a way where it's like, oh, it's courageous, great. Heck, you know what make it funny? It'd be like, I don't do it because my dad was in this group called Right to Censor, and they taught me about abstinence and respecting women and do it when the time is right.
Auntie Ivory said to never have sex.
Bingo. I would love it. That for me make me a fan of the storyline. That for me is like, long-term booking, a kid grew up in the cult. Heck, show him the tie, do some Photoshop, let's have some fun with it. It's just like he screams loser. And Briggs, he screams like, I'm an alpha male man. And then he screams like the spotty younger brother who's a loser, probably needs a shower. I just don't like that presentation of him. If they made him tougher, he grew some facial hair. I mean, the bum flub and the sideburns not helping him either. He looks like Billy Gunn, circa smoking guns before he took some vitamins and got bigger. Yes, pretty deadly, great on the promos. I like the Southern drawl, like, oh, you guys go wear the tag some titles, whatever. I like the Southern drawl they had, and I also like the Josh Briggs kind of play the game at them by mocking them. So this would be a great match because when they win the tag team titles, like they tag team champions of all the teams. I am mad at it, but they wouldn't be the first one in my head. And then the fact that this match is going to happen, Pretty Deadly is an easy way to get the title back to the UK. Instead of like shipping it, it's like, you guys live in the UK, just carry this back to the BT studios.
Become the first ever 2-time NXT UK Tag Team Champions.
Yes,
At
boy.
least they can hold that, and they were champions for 287 days, which they mentioned in their promo as well. So very
Never
interesting. Yeah, I didn't see any of that, but hey, if you tell me, I believe you. Next, what we did see was our next matchup, which was Indy Hartwell versus Kiana James. I'll just say up front, I did not like this match. That Indy goes for a springboard elbow drop, but Kiana moves out of the way. She then rolls up Hartwell. She tries to get her foot on the bottom rope, but fails at it and just gets like her pinky toe on it. This was too short. I mean, she got the win with that, but this was too short to really amount to anything. It was a very basic match. And, I think last week or the week before you said Indy Hartwell is like ready for the main roster. I don't agree. I don't think that she's this matchup. Like, in my opinion, someone like a Cameron Grimes, someone like a Carmelo Hayes, who elevate the people that they're in the ring with. Even if they're in the ring with someone who is just, beginning their developmental career, they can make it something. This right here showed me that Indy Hartwell needs more time in developmental.
Saddens me to hear you say that because you're not lying as well. But the positives for me, the match was the chain wrestling, the ground game. It seems that's Kiana's forte because since she's been wrestling since the breakout tournament, her go-to are rest holds or chain wrestling locks. It seems like she's comfortable in it. Not enough happened for me to say, oh, it was a great match. Like I said, it was a basic match. It was stuck in first gear. There was nothing to it. And so for that reason, I was like, yeah, there's nothing we can really say. It was a match. She barely cheated. That goes to show you she's a rookie. She can't cheat properly. But heck, that internship with the Alexander York Foundation, it's going great. I mean, bring back Terry Runnels for that spot. Heck, bring her just for that. One day only. To bring back legends, just bring in Terry Runnels as Alexander York. Only we would get it. Only like 10% of the audience would get it. Why she's dressed like that.
I think she's going more for Miss Hancock, the former Stacy Keibler type of look. But we shall see. Then we had what might be the most ridiculous segment of the night. Last night, that's what they said. We see footage of Tony D'Angelo and Stacks apparently throwing 2 dimes into the river. Tony D says he gave 2 dimes the world and he came for his chair. So now he is sleeping with the fishes. And he then throws 2 dimes watch into the river as well. Santos Escobar calls up Tony D and asks, am I talking to the new North American champion, Tony D'Angelo? And then laughs. And then Tony throws his phone into the river as well. So basically, they are telling us that Tony D and Stacks murdered 2 dimes. That's how they wrote him off.
That's great.
It's pretty much exactly what we said last week. I can't believe they did it though.
Yeah, we said that's the only way. Just not even like a talking to. They like whacked him. He just fell into the river and his phone as well. And then that as well. For me, that was the best thing ever because we all know how much I was the anti-fan of 2 dimes. He lacked charisma. He looked like he should be in a pop band. He did not seem intimidating. So I didn't understand. So Tony D should get for doing that awful backstory, how you met him as kids and Auntie Gina and Angela, whatever. Just yawn fest. I hope in the next episode he debuts an an intimidating enforcer, because that guy just didn't cut it. I'm happy that we got Stacks. I like Stacks. He's got great facial expression. He carries off being a mobster, even though it's a bit hammy, but I like it. It's better than the other guy who did nothing, who looked like he was in the clouds somewhere. He just wasn't in the same room as them. He did an orbit on the same multiverse as them. He just wasn't there. So I'm happy he's gone.
Oh man, I was so tickled by this. I was like, they really murdered two dives, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we witnessed a murder on this episode of NXT 2.0, which immediately makes it noteworthy, I'm sure. We see a promo by Wes Lee, which was honestly the best promo of the night. He talks about bearing his soul last week and Trick Williams interrupting him. Wes says talking about his feelings gives him strength, and Lee challenges Trick for next week at the Great American Bash. He says nothing will stop him from finding his inner peace, especially not Trick Williams. We need more Wes Lee promos, because last week he had one of the best promos he had the best promo on the show last week, and this week just looking right down the camera lens is very rare that they do that. I mean, they did that last week with Tiffany Stratton and we really enjoyed that, and then they did it this week kind of in the same setting with Wes Lee, and it delivered.
Yeah, Wes Lee, he still comes across a guy that's just annoyed. You wouldn't think you'd think he's on a losing streak the way he acts, right? He's just like, yeah, man, I'm just tired of people just getting in my face. Get out of my face. That's what it feels like. He's someone that's really talented, and I hope they strap the rocket to him in NXT. We know, I can't say anything about main roster. He's one of the rare guys I would say. Then again, he's got great charisma and comedy skills. I feel like any wrestler in NXT 2.0 will be great in the 24/7 division. That's the ceiling for everyone.
You need to stop booking all these guys the same. The guys, all the girls, you always want to put them in the 24/7 division.
No, R-Truth. I know R-Truth is my go-to. This is like, because Wes Lee does the goofiness, and I can see him like, getting high and getting the title and being chill. Because at the moment, people almost forgetting that this guy's got a sense of humor because of how miserable he's been the last couple of months. But yeah, Tony D will be great in the 24/7. I just feel like all the guys they're building, I don't see great future for everyone on there, unfortunately. So if your name's not Bron Breakker or original guys like Santos or Cameron Grimes, all the guys they're introducing are just
you think it's a solid future for Santos or Cameron Grimes?
It won't be as bad. I'm not saying they're going to get the title strapped to them. I'll be shocked if they do anything with Santos, because Cameron's still a young guy. I mean, Cameron, I feel like he can be like a Sami Zayn, like where he can pull it out and be resilient. Santos, man, they're wasting my guy's time on this show. Or get him into the main roster. To answer your question.
I agree there.
Everyone.
Next, we had the 6-man tag team matchup that we talked about earlier with the Diamond Mine versus Joe Gacy and the Dyad. Commentary starts calling the Dyad Dyad 1 and Dyad 2. I got a kick out of that. Gacy gives...
I wrote down Gibson because he's taller, Drake because he's shorter. I know who they are. They may try it with me, but I know the height disparities like this. So I know which one's which.
I was like, how the hell did they do twin matching in this match? Well, we're gonna get to that. Gacy gives Dyad a pep talk, telling him to show the world his true self. That motivates him early. Julius comes in, he runs wild, he hits the cartwheel suplex, he gears up for the sliding lariat, but then Roddy Strong, once again being a loser, tags himself in.
I'm saying that I can't
and yells at.
I have to stop you. You are a wrestling purist. You are an ROH young boy.
Yes.
This is Mr. ROH.
No,
those,
no, it's not. No, it's not. This
I
is
know it's
not
not. This is not the
Generation
PlayStation.
Next Roderick Strong. This is not House of Truth Roderick Strong. This is not Undisputed Era Roderick Strong. This is not even TNA Roderick Strong. This is
He's barely
Roderick
there.
Strong who is being booked into a hole that is making him look like he is a Finn Balor on the main roster loser. Like, he is very talented, but he loses a lot on this show. That's
Keep
why
the
I said
respect.
that's
Keep
why I
the
said
respect.
he tagged in because the Creed brothers had this totally at hand. They were about to finish off Gacy. He tags himself in and then yells at Julius to get out of the ring. Gacy goes for his handspring lariat on Roddy, but Brutus blocks it and makes the save for Roddy. The Dyad members pull twin magic, even though
Why
they're
not?
obviously different heights.
You can't tell. The hood makes them taller.
Then they hit their double team magic killer
I
DDT
hate
for the
that's
win.
a crap move. I'm sorry. It's a crap move.
Well, they hit it for the win on Strong with the crease, just watching from the apron because they were pissed at Roddy for tagging himself in. This was a decent enough 6-man tag, but it was more about the story of the ongoing dissension in the Diamond Mine. And then later on in the night, we go backstage to the Diamond Mine locker room, and the Creed brothers are upset. Roddy comes in and he basically challenges the Creed brothers to face him and Damon Kemp next week at Great American Bash, so he can finally show them who's the boss in the Diamond Mine. And I'm sure Roddy will lose that one as well.
Man, don't crease his ass. But crap. Mud Mother is not here in the chat, but I'm sorry. I told you this feud is not doing it for me because it feels like someone like Shelton like they need to. For me, the payoff for me for this storyline would be great if they did, like, because Shelton Benjamin is now off the injury list. Just have him come up and be the new, like, this is the new guy they're looking up to. It would be great, and then Roderick can just go to AEW. So this is what I think. The tag team of the Dyads finisher, so uninspired, man. I've seen better assisted DDTs than that. It's just very meh. I think because the grizzled young veterans never won the tag team titles as themselves, and now they've been slotted into this potential feud, because I don't think Roderick Strong and Damon Kemp are gonna win the titles. It'd be great if they did. I'll pop huge. You in your house, envision me getting, sodas and just ramming it down my face because Roderick Strong won the tag titles, just so they can put some respect on his name. Because the Creeds, they're young boys. Young boys should never step up to their bosses. Anyway, that's like Clark Connors trying to step up to Shibata. Sit your ass down. One match and you think you're over. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Shibata, actually wins. When ever since he's been back in the ring, he has won. He has won a match. I think Shibata and Roger Strong have the same amount of wins in 2022, and Shibata's only had one match.
Get out of here. Yeah. So like I was trying to say, I think the Dyads are going to win the tag titles, then reveal there's a grizzled young veterans. That's the only way I see this storyline playing out, because they're not revealing who they are. We know who they are. We hope the people in the chat, we smarten you up, you know who they are. It's just that when they win the title, oh my gosh, it's Gibson, it's Drake. They used to be grizzled young veterans.
That was a nice Wade Barrett impersonation.
Thank you. I'm actually British, even though from time to time I do stray from the accent. Time to time, I am British. I am not the British of British, but I am British. Yes,
I'm actually British. You didn't know?
Someone said it when he was moving to the UK. I'm like, awkward. I don't sound British enough. I am very much British.
Backstage we go, and we finally get the payoff for what happened earlier in the night with Grayson Waller and Melo. Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams are leaving the arena, and Mackenzie informs them that Melo will be facing Grayson Waller for the NXT North American title at the Great American Bash after he signed the contract, falling for Waller's Trick. And man, I love Melo, I love Trick, but this was some bad acting when they got revealed.
I'll call it sitcom acting. There's a Wayans Brothers skit level of acting, right? Gosh darn it. He done got me, man. Oh, man.
Man. Man.
The whole thing is like, even the whole, can you sign it for my cousins, uncles, aunties, babies? That screamed for me very hammy sitcom. So I didn't look for it for a Santos Escobar style acting. I didn't look. I
This
for me
was
took it was.
Man, like I said, Mello and Trick are the Mike Lowry and Marcus Barnett of NXT 2.0. So I expect bad boys level acting, and this was more homeboys in outer space laugh. So
Homeboys. You're just
this is a level down.
oh,
Um,
wait, someone in the chat, tell me who I got for Jam in the Jar, because it was very last minute. I'm putting it, so I haven't watched nothing. I'm in the countryside. I actually napped before I did the show. I'm like an old man. I had to nap for obvious reasons. Having a child is too much energy draining from my body. I had to nap. So whoever I am, tell me, guys, or SP can
yeah,
tell me because he.
let us know in the live chat, because I had, if you're a member or a Patreon backer, listen to our outro where I had to inform Sat of him being in Jam in the Jar and when Money in the Bank was. Check it out. We
It's not
see
Sunday. Stop lying to me, guys. We mean Money in the Bank is Jam in the Jar. Is not Sunday. It's Saturday. I am so confused, man. I don't know what's going on. SP saved my life. I think Luke hasn't
we
responded to me. Luke,
we see footage from last week when Lash Legend nailed Alba Fire with her bat. The doctor informs us that Alba is out due to this attack, and then Lash cuts a promo coming in, interrupting the doctor, and says that the rest of the locker room should take this as a warning that Legend means business. Then we got the backstage segment with the Diamond Mine, and then that led into our next matchup, which was Sanka the Thunder versus Zion Quinn.
Exion.
Before the match on Zion Quinn attacks Sanga from behind ahead of their match. When we get back into the arena, they're being separated by officials, and then the match starts. Zion, gets the upper hand in the beginning, but Sanga real quick uses his power to get the win. He hits a choke slam, big choke slam for the win. I didn't think this was very good. These are two relatively green workers in there. Sanga at least is showing more charisma now that he's the ladies' man. He does the whole thing with his mustache where he twirls his mustache,
You,
twirls it.
you should grow one, because I know how much your missus will love it.
Oh, she'll love that, right? But I think that shows more charisma. But the match I did not like.
Okay, so do you know how we used to rag on that Sanga was dressed like Bron Breakker's, hand me downs? Now he decided to dress like Bill Goldberg's hand me down, circa 97, 98, right? the whole look, like at least it's a step up in a different direction, better direction. I mean, we need more body types like Sanga. I'm tired of the chiseled abs and body. Give me a real man's body. Give me some hairy body. Give me some pecs that does not unite together. Give me some abs that looks more like a family pack. Yes, the match was plodding. Sanga did like a few scoop slams. It was a transition between moves. I've always noticed that if the transition between moves is slow and plodding, it makes the match slow and plodding. Because for that reason, uh,
You got a good pick in the women's Money in the Bank, at least.
I know, but I feel like what you said could actually win makes more sense. But if I do get yay, but I don't know how it works. Do I need to get two to win, or do I need to get
No,
one to
I
win?
think you just have to get one. I'm pretty sure.
I get
There's
one.
gonna be two. There's gonna be two Jam in the Jars. I think.
Oh, see, you know what I'm saying? I just woke up and he's telling me all these news. Guys, I could potentially win. And then you're going to see me with faulty Wi-Fi, or heck, even on my phone, because I'm so prideful. I'm just going to, win. That's what I'm going to do. Sheamus, he ain't going to win. Sheamus has not been relevant
No,
to
but
me.
you got one. You got one good one. You got one good one.
Anyways, yeah, Sanga. It was a plodding match. I'm shocked that Sanga won, because Exion Quinn, he seems like the kind of guy to be high on. But Sanga needed a victory more, so I was happy for Sanga because he needed to win. And he went home right at the right time, because it started chanting boring at him. So it was a good thing he ended the match as he did.
Indeed. Backstage later on in the night, I'll just get to it now with Zion Quinn. We saw Apollo Crews is giving advice to Solo Sikoa, who's pissed about Grayson Waller beating him last week and setting him back in the North American title division. Apollo gives him some good advice, which Solo likes, and then Zion Quinn comes in and he basically says, "Oh, why are you taking advice from him?" And it's just like, dude, like you just lost. Like, what are you talking about? But he tries to give advice of his own to Cruz, saying that he is the perfect WWE superstar, that he's been in movies and all this stuff. And Apollo just says that, when he looks at when Quinn looks at his future, he sees bright lights, all this good stuff. But when he looks at Quinn's future, it doesn't look too good. So I think this is setting up Apollo Crews versus Zion Quinn in who's the better uncle at advice.
That's a great one. Also, was this the payoff to those confusing vignettes that Apollo can see? Was that the payoff? Because if he didn't say that, we'd be like, "Oh, it's a cute line," but we've seen that he does. He's clairvoyant.
He does see into the future. That's true. Mm-hmm. That's true.
The Nigerian clairvoyant.
We said CSI Nigeria. It's actually the male version of That's So Raven. It's the future he can see. That's so Cruz. It's so serious to me.
That's not Apollo. That's so Apollo. No, that's so Cruz.
That's so Apollo. That's better. Yeah, that's better. That's so Apollo. That's so Apollo. It's the future he can see.
That's Apollo. Anyway, yes, we figured it out. Even though CSI Lagos was a great show idea, run with that one day. But Exion Quinn, I don't know how they. You know what? This is the kind of booking that annoys me. They kind of Duke Hudson-ing Exion Quinn. I mean, even though in the beginning when he was babyface, I didn't really particularly care. I mean, this guy went from being a heartthrob. Electra Lopez could not keep her cool. To being this uncle that's dosing advice.
Bad advice to everyone.
Like his name is not Snooker P. It rhymes like with someone who's a 5-time, he's just giving that advice that you don't want to hear. He's like a 5-time loser, Snooker P.
6-time now.
He's not 6-time, yeah. I just don't get it. Exion, no.
We got another vignette which I enjoyed on this show. I like the promos and the vignettes on this show more than the matches. The matches were not so good on the show, but the promos and vignettes were fun. This one was one of the funner ones, as we see Wendy Choo is having a nightmare about everything Tiffany Stratton had to say about her last week. She then has a nice dream of all of her highlights and getting under Tiffany Stratton's skin. She wakes up with a big smile before sipping on her orange juice. She goes to brush her teeth and hears the voices in her own head talking to herself. And she says, and I quote, "Listen, Stratton, it's simple, stupid. I get under your skin, I go for the pin, and then I win. See you at the bash, Tiff. Bars.
That should be a catchphrase from now on. That is great. Like, but I'm concerned. Why could we see her dreaming?
I was a little confused too, but this is not the first person that we've actually seen their dreams. If you saw one of the last partsFUNknown videos, we've seen Stephanie McMahon's dreams in the past. I guess we've seen the visions, like on That's So Raven, on That's So Apollo, we saw the visions of the future for him. So this is not something out of the norm for this show.
It is true, but I was alarmed. I was like, I can see her dreams. Why have I not seen this power in me before? And you can see it too. It's a universal collective power, guys. It's a television show, I guess. We have to roll with it. Stop questioning it, Sat.
Don't question it. So we got it's a full lineup for next week at Great American Bash, because we got the women's tag team titles with Perez and Jade versus Dolan and Jane. We got the tag team titles is made official, the Creed brothers versus Roger Strong and Damian Kemp. We got Wes Lee versus Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes versus Grayson Waller, and of course Cameron Grimes versus Bron Breakker. So let us know what you think about the Great American Bash lineup. WrestleTalk.com/support with the Mocha chat, because we're getting into the final match on this show here, as it was the NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose versus the returning Nikita Lyons. Wade mentions that Rose is now the fifth longest reign as NXT Women's Champion, and we've been talking about it. We've been keeping track of it ourselves, and we've been talking about it on this show. More respect needs to be made to WWE's commitment with Mandy Rose during this title reign, over 200 days, going on 250 days as champion. They've been really going, building this whole division around her and Toxic Attraction. In this match, Mandy works over the injured leg of Lyons and even pulls out a nice looking missile drop kick at one point. I did not expect that. I was like, very impressed. That was one of the more impressive moves Mandy Rose has ever done.
Right?
Nikita makes her come back, and it looks like she has Mandy's number. She's hitting the high kicks until Toxic Attraction comes in to cause the disqualification. I thought
Finally.
the match was fine, but the finish was kind of lame. And then post-match, we got Toxic Attraction with the 3-on-1 beatdown until Roxanne and Cora come in to make the save, and they hit the super kick party on Mandy Rose like they were Nick. Got another Young Bucks reference, had to. But yes, that was basically the final match on the show. What did you think?
I think it's the payoff for all the Toxic Attraction interference that always confuses us. They somehow get in the ring and then the referee will let it go. I'm like, finally, stop the pretense. It would have been great if it was during that kind of thing, but they just blatantly cheated just to show that Nikita Lyons is a threat to the title. We hate the trope of where we put the potential challenger in the ring with the champion so early, because it kind of cheapens when they do fight again. It loses the whole big fight feel. Oh, they're going to touch hands for the first time. Nope. Done it before, held hands multiple times. Now lazy. Basically, you're right. Mandy Rose has got one of the fifth longest title reign. I feel like SP can do a list of title reigns that she surpasses, which shocked the heck out of you. The experiment has worked. It's rehabilitated her. By knowing WWE, putting the main roster, she'll get lost in the shuffle again. What's the point of doing it? But I hope they do commit, because Mandy Rose is the type of heel that WWE likes. But I also do feel like Vic Joseph, who we don't often talk about, very underrated. He said it. Mandy never wins clean. That's been the only issue for title reign. They refuse to book her as a credible threat. So it makes it hard for us. Like, once every so often, give us a clean finish where she did it by herself without distractions of any kind. I'm hoping it eventually happens, even though I feel like it's time for her to lose the title. I've been saying this every week, every month. Not that I'm not enjoying it. It's just that I would like to see what NXT 2.0 Women's Division looks like with a different champion, because we haven't had that chance since Mandy has come to the show. But the match was an appetizer. That's what it was.
Yeah, it feels like it was like a precursor to what potentially may be another NXT Women's Title match for Mandy Rose down the road. And just to put this in perspective for Mandy Rose's title reign, there are only now 4 women who have had longer reigns with the NXT Women's Championship. Of course, Asuka is one of them. Of course, you had Shayna Baszler's second run with the title, which was 416 days. You had Io Shirai, who had a 304-day reign, and you had the first ever NXT Women's Champion, Paige, who held the title for 308 days. So Mandy Rose it has just in front of her now Charlotte Flair, who held the title for 258 days, but she's at 246. So in 2 weeks, she's going to pass Charlotte Flair. She just passed Bayley. She just passed Raquel Rodriguez. She just passed Rhea Ripley, Kairi Sane, Ember Moon, Sasha Banks. Look at those names. Look at those names that Mandy Rose has surpassed with this reign, with the toxic era coming to a close. Or is it? Is it going to be even longer? Is she going to make it 300 days?
She may do. We never know. Heck, they may say, "Hey, let's beat Oscar's reign."
They may say that. The only other segment that we didn't touch on was another JD McDonough vignette. They hyped his arrival to NXT 2.0, and he says at the end that he's not just the ace in the UK, he's the ace everywhere he goes. So that was last night's episode of NXT 2.0. Sat, you want to put your thumb in the middle here for this episode. In 3, 2, 1, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle for the show. And as per usual, I think I'm gonna go thumbs in the middle. This was another average show. Like they just give you bang average type of shows. Like I said, the wrestling wasn't much. A lot of it was not very good, and some very Kiana James and Indy Hartwell, as well as Sanga versus Zion Quinn, were not very good matches. But the promos and the vignettes and the point of this show was to hype up Great American Bash, and I think they did a good job at that.
That's why Michael Hickenbottom is Book of the Year, guys. That's what he is. Now, before I go on, I want to do my mod, raw call, blue, wench order. So I want to give a shout out to the people behind the scenes because it means a lot to me because I always feel like the unsung heroes are the ones that are in the chat, making sure everything runs in order. So I want to highlight and give thanks. SB's going to clap. We're going to do it neatly. Shout out to Mod Brother Baba. Shout out to Mod Brother Devin. Shout out to Mod Brother Ned. Shout out to my brother Rob. She's not in the chat because she's house moving potentially to the UK. Kidding. Shout out to Mod Mother Jenna. Yes.
Yeah.
BWO for life.
We thank you, mods, always making the chat a peaceful place, a peaceful community here on the WrestleTalk Podcast YouTube channel. But let's get into those mocha chats to close off this show. Final call, WrestleTalk.com/support. If you could sneak one in before we're done here. But Sat, let's get to the mocha chats.
Get into the mocha chats. Yeah, we have 2 chats today. We got Tails P saying, I love Vinci's entrance. Is like a 90s wrestler time travel to today. Sanga is the 3rd member of Mustache Mountain. Cora is dressed like the female version of Sparkplug Bob Holly. Grimes is gonna lose next week. Then show up on Raw. No Chase U? Question mark.
I did peep that as well. After the school term just started. They got their MTV undressed co-ed dorms going on with Thea Hale boarding with Bodie Haywood. So maybe next week we can see the progression of that and how the school year is starting off. Even though the school year is starting off in June. Never heard of that, but hey, it Chase U. Chase U for they do things different there. But yeah, I did peep that as well. So thank you for pointing that out.
Hey, and in the next chat we have is from Ferthausen. Need reason to watch AEW Dark from last night. Willow Nightingale and Wheeler Utah. Thanks for watching, so I don't need to.
Hey, sometimes I will not front. I always hear from a lot of people that AEW Dark is the better show on Tuesday nights, and I know they had Wheeler Yuta versus Tony Nese in a pure championship matchup. So I'm definitely going to try my best before I do my podcast at the end of the week. I'm going to try to watch that to see how it was. And Willow Nightingale on any show is a must watch for me because I'm a huge Willow Nightingale fan.
Same Z's. I think Tony Khan needs to hurry up and sign Willow Nightingale. That's all I can say. But not to upset people who are fans of NXT 2.0. This is an NXT 2.0 show where I should probably do a show with SP3 at some point and talk AEW stuff. But yes, this is NXT 2.0. Thank you so much for coming. I'm checking for mocha chats. Any last mocha chats? Any? No, we don't. SB, take it home.
Well, I'm just going to go real quick. What's your prediction for next week? Cameron Grimes versus Bron Breakker, NXT Championship, Great American Bash.
Oh, my heart wants Cameron Grimes just to spice things up, but my head's telling me Bron Breakker. So Bron Breakker.
I agree with you there. Carmelo Hayes versus Grayson Waller. I'm going with Melo as per usual.
No offense to Grayson Waller, but he has not been booked like a threat since he took out Johnny Gargano in feud with AJ Styles. In fact, he's been booked almost like a comedy character. Heck, Tiffany doesn't even want his number anymore. They never go shopping anymore like they used to. So my guy's falling down in equity.
He's no longer allowed to hold her pocketbook while she goes change.
Nope.
Wes Lee versus Trick Williams, which I feel is one of the more unpredictable matches for next week because it could go either way. They can build up Wes Lee, or they can give him more of a story with another setback against Trick Williams. I'm gonna go with Wes Lee because Trick Williams is the anti-Sting. He never wins.
That came out of nowhere. He's an anti-Sting. At least he's not jumping out the sky and bouncing off wrestlers and splatting on the floor. But yeah,
I mean, his kicks are kind of like that. They bounce off of people.
He's trying to be Booker T 95. He'll get there one day. He'll get them Harlem sidekicks one day. I'm gonna go Wes Lee as well. Wes Lee's on the roll. Here's someone they've invested time in as a solo since he's broken up from the team. They won't mention from that guy, his brother, whoever that guy is.
All right, last one. The tag team titles, both of them are up for grabs. Who you got? The Creed brothers versus Kemp and Strong, and who do you got with Roxanne and Cora versus Toxic Attraction?
For comedic purposes, I'm going Damon Kemp and Roderick Strong. I just want to see SP3 just drill it into me how I'm wrong and I lost. For comedic purposes, you all can grill me. Damon Kemp and Roderick Strong. These are my guys. They're going to win. Yes, they are. No, they're not. Yes, they are. For disclaimer, he knows he's not. Yes!
Creeds all day, and I'm going with the best friends, Roxanne and Cora, for the win next week.
Really? You know, heck, yes. You know what? Let's go for it. Let's make Roxanne double champion. They never really tried that. I'm trying to think about.
No, I don't think so.
Let's go for that. Yeah, double champion, and that way you get Cora Jade stroking her non-existent blonde handlebars, going after the title in the end. So yeah.
But that is all for the Mocha 2.0 edition of the WrestleTalk Podcast, reviewing last night's NXT 2.0. Remember to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. Tomorrow, you got Ali and Luke with the AEW Dynamite review. On Friday, you got Team Danuke, Denise and Luke breaking down everything from the week in wrestling with the magazine show. On Saturday, you got the Rampage and SmackDown review with Pete and Tempest, which might be in person. They might be in the studio because Tempest is in the UK.
No, they've done it already. They've done it already.
Yeah, I know. They did the Forbidden Door review, but I don't know if they could go to the office on Saturday. I don't know how that works, but we'll see. Yeah. I'll be watching, so I hope all of you will. For Sat E, I'm SP3, and this has been Mocha 2.0. Love you, y'all. Peace.
We're out of time. We are. Bye.